A new call from Dr. Anthony Fauci tonight, now asking China to release the medical records of several scientists who, according to U.S. intelligence reports, got seriously sick at a lab in Wuhan weeks before China confirmed its first COVID case. Fauci telling the Financial Times, did they really get sick? And if so, what did they get sick with? That lab in the spotlight, and now so is Fauci himself, under fire from critics who argue he prematurely dismissed the possibility that COVID-19 leaked from that Wuhan facility.
Dr. Fauci needs to be brought in under oath to answer questions about this.
From early on, Fauci highlighting the more prominent theory among many scientists that the virus jumped from animals to humans, the explanation China also backs.
Is totally consistent with a jump of a species from an animal to a human.
It comes after thousands of pages of Fauci's emails from the early days of the pandemic were released to several news organizations under the Freedom of Information Act, including one from the NIH director, who last April sent Fauci a link to a news article suggesting the lab leak theory was true. The subject line, conspiracy gains momentum. Fauci's response is redacted.
Did you agree at that time in April of 2020 that the lab leak theory was a conspiracy theory?
No, not necessarily at all. The situation is that we didn't know, and we still don't know, what the origin is.
Some now suggesting scientists downplayed the lab leak possibility because former President Donald Trump repeatedly raised it.
The question was much more open than most people were led to believe.
Still, there's a distinction between whether any leak may have been an accidental mishap during research on naturally occurring viruses, or whether, as some have insinuated, the virus was somehow engineered and then escaped. Fauci argues his emails are ripe for being taken out of context, and President Biden today said he is very confident in Fauci.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.